Hello and welcome to Airheads, a not-so-serious look at the serious business of royal rumours, gossip and gowns. I'm Tom.
And I'm Maeve.
And this week we've been hobnobbing with the turnip toffs.
Yes, we are just back from our trip to Norfolk, where we were visiting Houghton Hall, which some of you may know as the home of the Marquess and Marchioness of Cholmondeley.
Earlier this year, around March, there were reports that started to circulate about Kate trying to freeze out her rural rival, Rose Hanbury.
Yeah, apparently the two had fallen out, and supposedly it's quite a tight little social circle down there called the Turnip Toffs. And after these stories that Kate was trying to phase her out, there started to be some rumours that Rose reportedly had an affair with Prince William back when Kate was pregnant with Louis. We talked about this in detail a few episodes back. The episode's called 93 Candles if you want a full breakdown of these rumours.
There's no kind of concrete proof or anything around these rumours. It's very much speculation and unnamed sources. And
there have been reports that Will's lawyers have sent out letters asking publications not to report on this, which all just fuels the fire around this. And the Cambridges have been working overtime to dispel the rumours this summer. We've seen a real campaign in the last few months to promote this image of a very happy family and a very happy marriage. But the interest in Rose persists. In this month's issue of Tatler magazine, the Cholmondeleys feature prominently in the Social Power Index, which is their ranking of the most socially significant and influential figures in society, and also includes Kay and Will right at the top. And as well as that, listeners of Airheads are always asking to know more about these rumours. Houghton Hall is open during the summer to visitors, and one of the things we were interested in was that there was some speculation that Rose herself may have been the one that masterminded the leak of these rumours. You know, there were people saying things like, was she trying to get even with Kate by undermining the public perception of her marriage, which is like the one thing that the royals really care about. That it would be a way of punishing Kate for not understanding the rules of aristocracy, because these people are all sleeping together all the time. You're not supposed to try to phase someone out just because they slept with your husband.
Allegedly.
When we heard they opened their house, we decided we had to go down and visit.
I'm David Cholmondeley, and my family has been involved with Houghton since the end of the 18th century.
Obviously, opening a big house like this is going to generate a lot of revenue. Tickets were like £18 for the house, the gardens, and they also have an exhibition by the sculptor Henry Moore, which is lovely. But it also serves as a pretty powerful reminder of the Cholmondeleys' wealth, their connections, and their long history with the royal family.
They can't be frozen out easily. Their house was mainly built, it was like an extensive renovation and rebuilding project by Britain's first Prime Minister, Sir Robert Walpole, back in the 1720s. He was very lavish. He spent a lot of money. He lost a lot of the receipts, which very convenient. He later admitted to having burnt them. And then he also kept parts of the house unfinished so that he technically didn't have to pay tax on them for years. Honestly, it's a masterpiece, this house. It's, I'd say, like Versailles level opulence.
Yeah, it's a Palladian style building. It has something like 106 rooms or something like that. It's always had a connection to the royals. The Cholmondeleys have been in the inner circle for centuries. We said before that Rose's husband, David, formerly Rock Savage, now Cholmondeley, is the Lord Great Chamberlain. And this position, we learned at Houghton Hall, is one that alternates monarchs with another family called the Lancasters. So when Charles becomes king, the Lancasters will take on the position, but then when Will becomes king,
back to the Cholmondeleys. But this is, I think, so indicative. Like, it's such a different scale of time even to use in measuring their relationship with the royals. They're literally like centuries of history with the monarchy.
You'd have to be the queen to be able to phase them out, like no less than the monarch would be able to freeze out a family with as long-standing a connection as the Cholmondeleys. And Rose's grandmother was also in the queen's inner circle. Her name was Lady Elizabeth Lambert, and she was a childhood friend and a lifelong confidant of the Queen. She was even bridesmaid in the Queen's wedding to Prince Philip. So both Rose and her husband are real, true blue aristocrats.
And so you have all this history, and by God does the house signpost that at every possible opportunity. You've got gold ceilings, gold cornicing, gold chairs, gold everything.
I knew the house was going to be really big, and I knew it was a lot grander than most of the royal residences that we've even seen. But walking into it was really, it's a breathtaking space. The main tour is of the first floor of the house, which is where all the staterooms are. So the first thing you see is what's called the stone room, and it's got so much marble. The ceiling's marble, there's sculptures everywhere, there are marble busts. The whole thing is really elaborate, and then you walk into this stateroom that has velvet wallpaper and these big chandeliers and this gold ceiling. And as well as that, just in case you forgot, they have all of these framed, signed photographs of the Queen, of Prince Philip, of the Queen's dad, of the Queen's grandmother, so like several generations of monarchs, and also of Winston Churchill. But as well as that, in one of the other rooms, they have this throne that the spouse of the monarch sits on during the opening of Parliament. So Prince Philip is the most recent one, obviously, to use it. And between the Parliament openings, it lives in this room in Houghton Hall, and they have to cart it up to London every time they have the state opening of Parliament. And it's so ornate.
Yeah, I'd say transporting that would take like a year off your life expectancy. There's all these like twiddly bits and little crown carvings and stuff that look like they would snap off as soon as you look at them.
And yeah, it's so old as well.
There's not enough bubble wrap in Norfolk.
One of the things I liked that, could be read as a possible nod to the more lusty connections between the royals and the Cholmondeleys was that in the bedroom, the walls are covered in these enormous tapestries that show what they describe as an amorous dalliance between Venus and Adonis.
Yeah, in various stages of their relationship. And it's not the only one. Like, a lot of the decoration is based on Greek myth, or Greek and Roman myth. And, I mean, everyone was fucking everyone in those stories. You
particularly liked the dining room that was a tribute to Bacchus, didn't you?
Oh, I loved that. It had all these grapes carved into the ceiling and painted on the ceiling. There were grapes everywhere. Lots of sort of horn-like things bursting with yet more grapes. It was a real feast for the eyes. And I would like to imagine that if Camilla visited, she'd be very at home.
At the end of the tour, you go into more of the modern family rooms, and they're very plain. So the gilded rooms aren't actually where Rose and David and their 3 children live day to day. The actual residence part is private, and that's on the ground floor, and then the bedrooms are on the floor above. So we don't actually know how it's decorated, but we did get a glimpse of a toaster, a bird ornament, some peach curtains, and a bottle of mineral water.
Don't know what that was doing there.
All right, now here's the one perfecto thing I picked up. Mineral water.
Oh, come on. A lot of people drink mineral water. It's come a long way.
Yeah, but this is Ohio. I mean, if you don't have a brewski in your hand, you might as well be wearing a dress.
Houghton Hall has had a lot of royal visitors, and quite possibly part of this is its very close proximity to other royal residences. So it's basically neighbours with Sandringham, which has Kate and Will's Anma Hall in its grounds. And the story is that when Victoria was shopping for a residence for her son, she was looking in that area. She ended up buying Sandringham, but she had looked at Houghton Hall in quite a lot of detail as a real contender. Her son, George, who lived in Sandringham, actually demolished the main hall of it because it wasn't to his taste. So it's crazy to imagine what that place might look like if it had become an actual royal residence. They would have just blown up the stone room, or, you know.
It'd be such a pity. So that was quite lucky, actually, for the Cholmondeleys.
Yeah.
One of the things I thought was interesting was how close Anmer Hall is to Houghton Hall. It's like just over 3 miles away. And that kind of proximity reminded me of how Prince Charles's home in Highgrove is very close to where Camilla Parker Bowles used to live with her husband Andrew in Bolahide Manor. And when I was reading Tina Brown's The Diana Chronicles, she was suggesting that that proximity had a lot to do with why they continued their affair. And, you know, this kind of posh set can be pretty lazy. So if someone is only like a 10-minute drive away, that's going to make it a lot easier to be carrying on with your extramarital affair.
There's nothing quite like a 3-mile walk to work up an appetite.
Indeed.
Feeling so fly like a G6.
The big royal news of the week was that future King George turned 6 on Monday. And to celebrate, we got some new portraits. Our favourite amateur photographer, Kate Middleton, was behind the lens.
Snapping away.
We have seen her take the birthday photos and other various family photos of Princess Charlotte and Prince Louis, but in the past all the birthday portraits of George that we've seen have been taken by professional photographers like Chris Jackson or Mario Tostino, yikes, or Matt Porteous, who took my favourite one of Prince George feeding the ice cream to their dog Lupo. But it seems like Kate's years of photographing Charlotte and Louis have served as a warm-up, and now she's finally able to take on the portrait duties herself for the future king.
We got 3 photos, 2 of which were in his football jersey, taken in the grounds of Kensington Palace, and then another one, which is him wearing that famous green H&M polo t-shirt on holiday in Mustique, probably.
Yeah, I'm so interested in why you would include that one. It really interrupts that kind of image of relatable domesticity that you get in the ones of him rolling around in the grass in his football jersey.
Yeah.
To then suddenly have him on the luxury private island. Even if he is wearing a £5.99 polo shirt, he's still on a super luxurious holiday.
I think even seeing them on the Instagram grid, it seemed weird that you'd have like 2 similar ones on the outside and then one completely different. Like 3 different outfits would have been better.
Yeah, rather to have
Or
it
3 the
bookended
same.
by the same outfit. That one also has Sully's likes, which doesn't matter, but
It does.
the other big thing to know about these photos was that toothy grin.
George has shown the world his adorable gap-toothed grin.
I know, do you think he's going to keep the gap?
I don't think so.
Could be a real defining feature. And as well, you know, if he has the same troubles with early onset baldness, it could serve as a distracting
Distract from his
feature.
loss of hair with his gap.
Flash that gap and you forget all about it.
I just think that Will's teeth are massive. So are his going to grow to that size?
That'd be terrifying. Tom, what I want to know is, when are we going to get to see the baby teeth? Okay? Because an exhibition just opened in Buckingham Palace of Queen Victoria's paraphernalia.
Yeah, okay, so if Queen Elizabeth's creepy pastime was catching bats, Queen Victoria's is just absolutely blows that out of the water in terms of creepiness.
She used to keep her children's milk teeth in a gold satin-lined box, and she also had marble casts made of their limbs so she could better remember their curves and bends. It's a little bit unnerving. In the Telegraph, they described these aspects of the exhibition as showing her motherly side. So if Kate is so keen to show her motherly side at the moment, then she's got to chuck those baby teeth in a box and put them in the V&A.
And get sculpting.
There were some really good stories out to celebrate George's birthday. My favourite was in The Sun, which described George as having the iron will of an adult at 6 years of age. They had the actual story had a line that reads, "While the outside world sees him as an infant, George is very much his own man."
This child man.
Or man boy.
I wouldn't describe myself as having an iron will. So,
well, you're not the future king, Tom, so nobody cares whether you have an iron will. We need to know that our young future king has a terribly strong will, which gladly he does.
I would probably be kind of pleased with that if it was just left at the iron will. But we've also heard that, this is another quote, behind the scenes, George has evolved into a sweet, gentle and occasionally explosive young man.
What the hell does that mean? You can't just drop in an occasionally explosive after very mild descriptors, sweet and gentle.
They don't go together. That's not...
It doesn't follow. And then it goes on towards the end of the piece, buried, some might say, that his parents have admitted to keeping George away from occasional events due to his unpredictable temper, a fact which suggests a young boy testing the boundaries as he approaches another milestone in his life. What could be more normal than that?
That line, what could be more normal than that? That is such a red flag. Because why are you saying that? Why do we need to think it's normal? He's explosive, has an iron will, and is likely to just lash out at random events. What's going on here?
Are these the kind of quotes that people are going to look back on in 60 years and say, even from a young age, his temper was notorious? He's only 6. I don't like to think of him as this tyrant. I much prefer People magazine's characterization of him. They have this exclusive story. The only new detail is that he has been sighted speeding around Kensington Palace on a scooter wearing a Union Jack helmet, which is, oh my god, so obnoxious. It's like young Boris type of behaviour. But they also have a quote from a family friend that they said, he's a jolly little person and inquisitive. And they also described him as being full of beans. Paints a rather different picture, doesn't it?
It does, but it's also, I feel
full
like...
of exploding beans.
I feel like every child has been described like that at some point in their life. They mean nothing to me. I'm much more interested in this explosive iron will.
So I'll be keeping a close eye on that as the years pass. But we should offer a correction because we got the date wrong when we were talking about his birthday party on the last episode. We thought it was going to be taking place on his actual birthday, but it's not going to be happening until after they return from Mustique.
We do have a few more details on the party, though. It's going to include a royal bouncy castle, which I'm so interested to see.
What does that look like?
Like, is that gold? Does it look like a real castle?
Has Carol Middleton been searching the country high and low, looking for a suitably royal bouncy castle?
But that's not all. It's also going to be magic themed.
Perfect.
So magicians from the Magic Circle, which is the world's premier magic society dedicated to advancing the art form, will be present and providing entertainment.
Not only present, they will be putting on a hell of a show. We also learned from The Sun that Prince Charles is a member of this exclusive group and that the royal family have booked the Magic Circle for years. This is according to a spokesperson for the Magic Circle, bloody blabbing away to The Sun. They also noted that Prince Charles had magicians for his last birthday. Do you think he had magicians for Camilla's birthday?
I don't know, but I am quite unsettled at the thought of having a king with magic powers.
I mean, if the option is to either have him conduct a piece of music for you on your birthday or perform a stunning magic trick,
yeah, okay.
I know which one I'd prefer.
Yeah.
I think I speak for Camilla there too.
I believe you do.
For now, however, the Cambridges are living it up in Mustique.
This holiday is lavish.
I was actually very surprised reading the details about this because I have obviously been a total sucker for their relatable just like you campaign they've been doing. So to find out that they're spending their holiday in a villa that costs £27,000 a week and has its own live-in chef and butler and housekeeper and private garden and an 18-metre infinity pool was wild to me.
Yeah, that's insane to me. It should be noted that it's owned by friend of Prince William, the property developer Andrew Dunn. So they may not actually be paying for it. But does that make it better or does it make it worse?
It's kind of a curious detail, yeah, that you're staying in your buddy's property. One of the things I liked was that this was an exclusive in The Sun, and they were reading through the brochure for this villa, and they had examples of some of the chef's specialties. So they said the focus is on alfresco dining. This place has its own alfresco dining area to overlook the ocean, which is just like idyllic, isn't it? And with a choice of indoor and outdoor dining locations and a trained chef, menus can be tailored to suit every taste and preference. As well as that, a source on the island was talking about how much the kids absolutely love the villa and said, as the villa is fully staffed, they can also ask for whatever they want, whenever they want. I mean, do you want that for kids?
I mean, I imagine they take full advantage of that.
Even though the Cambridges are on holiday at the moment, they did take the time to issue a pretty extraordinary statement, I think, on claims that Kate has had baby Botox.
It's the Botox. I can't show emotion for another hour and a half.
So baby Botox is the same as normal Botox, but it's injected slightly differently. It's like small amounts of the Botox toxin in more areas. So it shouldn't freeze your face. It's
like a more subtle,
yeah,
kind of more natural looking look. Obviously not natural looking enough for Dr. Medispa, a clinic that's, we should know, 10 minutes drive from Kensington Palace. They posted on Instagram 2 pictures of Kate in a kind of a before and after style, and the caption, which I thought was so sly, starts, "Our Kate loves a bit of baby Botox," and then goes on to point out some alleged reduction in the fine lines on her forehead and other areas of her face. But the post has been deleted, so you can't see it now.
It's like impressively, almost masterfully vague, and yet very leading. The way they say "our Kate," are they saying it as a professional entity, or are they saying it as British people, the great British public?
Perhaps that's what prompted Kensington Palace to release this statement to the New York Post, where they said that the Instagram post is categorically not true, and in addition, the royal family never endorsed commercial activity. I mean, why would you do this?
I know.
It is crazy to me. It is such a ridiculous thing to do. I mean, I believe Kate definitely has Botox, and there's nothing wrong with that at all. But the fact that you would release a statement about something as trivial as this is nuts, in my opinion.
It's totally crazy to me. And also, I don't believe that they never endorsed commercial activity, because Camilla was making Ginster's pasties only the other day.
I mean, who does this serve? Is it meant to preserve an image of Kate as naturally flawless with no fine lines or wrinkles or any signs of aging, that even though she's 37, she is perfectly
that she looks like
smooth.
She's 22 or something. They do want to preserve this image, I think, of her as like superhuman.
I feel like it's just another way of feeding into the Kate never puts a foot wrong narrative. Mm-hmm. But having wrinkles is natural. She's going to be queen. We are going to see her in public for the rest of her life.
Yeah.
We're going to see the fine lines and wrinkles, and that's totally fine. Probably my least favourite story this week was the Sun's front page on Saturday, which had the headline, "The Meg Commandments," and the subhead, "Flunkies Give Out Orders to Harry's Neighbours." This was a story that people living near Meghan and Harry in Frogmore Cottage in Windsor were issued with a list of rules by a palace aide at a local residents' meeting.
So some of these rules include: don't approach or instigate conversation if you see the royal couple. Do say good morning or some other pleasantry if they speak to you. Don't pet or stroke their dogs, even if they come over to you, and on and on.
Buried in the 4th paragraph of the print edition of the story, and bumped down to the 10th paragraph online, was the detail that Buckingham Palace confirmed the briefing occurred, but that Harry and Meghan didn't know about it. There's the line, "Buckingham Palace insisted the request had come from an overly protective palace official without Harry and Meghan's knowledge." And further to this, Buckingham Palace spokeswoman told ITV that the Duke and Duchess didn't request this, didn't know about it, and had nothing to do with the content or guidance offered, which is pretty firm. But this is such an egregious example of an attack on Meghan. To pin it on Meghan and the Meg commandments while it's Harry's neighbours because she's just living in his house. It's a particularly outrageous example of how Meghan is treated.
The paragraph doesn't appear on the front page. All you see is the Meg commandments.
I do wonder, why did this palace official feel the need to say it, to hold this briefing? You know, after the private christening and the stories that Meghan wanted her Wimbledon visit to be private. Harry and Meghan are being seen as these divas, when I would think what they probably want is to try and live as normal a life as is possible.
Yeah, it seems like a totally misguided attempt, like probably coming from a good place, but the result of it is so bad.
They clearly need to tighten things up. The team around them are not helping. Earlier in the week, The Sun was talking about how Meghan is believed to be heading to Balmoral for her birthday next Sunday, and they had a little hint about what the Queen may be giving her as a gift, and
it's PR advice.
In an exclusive report, the royal commentator Phil Dampier was saying that the Queen will pull Meghan aside for a quiet word on things that could have been done better. Now, this whole story has a lot of she might, she may. It's all speculative. But the way the story is presented is so condescending about how Meghan has made a series of PR blunders and she desperately needs a dig out from the Queen.
And they're phrasing it like this is a kind of Love Island style. Could I just grab you for a quick chat?
on your birthday, between
birthday.
the cake that my chefs have made specially for you. I wonder if, because Meghan is smart, that she might ask the Queen for advice on how to handle these constant attacks on social media, to subtly let her know that it's getting to her, and that might give the Queen a little bit of a nudge to do something about it, and maybe rein in her staff and get the family as a whole to present a united front in supporting Meghan and Harry.
Yeah, no, I agree.
Harry, meanwhile, has been keeping busy. His engagements this week were adorable. He met with Dr. Jane Goodall at Windsor Castle, and when they greeted each other, they enacted a chimp greeting. I'm sure everybody's seen the video of this. It was posted on Sussex Royal.
It's very cute.
And then Harry was speaking out against single-use plastics. It's believed that one of the first big initiatives from Sussex Royal, their foundation, is going to be a big environmental project. One of the things I liked was that Jane Goodall was talking to Harper's Bazaar about how she had also met Meghan, that last month she visited Harry and Meghan and Archie at Frogmore House, and Meghan is apparently a big admirer of hers, and that Jane Goodall also got to cuddle Archie, who she described as very cute and very gentle. Harry also opened a new wing in the Children's Hospital in Sheffield this week. I thought the pictures from this were lovely. He met with a load of the patients, and he also looked through the visitors book, which contained his mother Diana's signature from when she visited in 1989. I mean, I hope that he heard what a 4-year-old girl from the local area told the BBC after meeting him, which was that meeting Prince Harry was better than eating ice cream.
Wow.
I mean, that just encapsulates it, doesn't it?
And in this heatwave, I think it's time to move on to our Fit for a King, Fit for a Queen. Who have we got this week?
We've got the future king, Prince George, I think, Tom. For me, it's got to be, forget the H&M polo shirt. It was all about that England football jersey.
Yeah, I thought that was great. It was unexpected, and like all the best outfits, sparked controversy.
Oh, dear.
Yeah.
I think this was a little bit of a stupid fake controversy. It was just a tweet that a royal blogger had written making an observation that in the 50 or so photos and engagements that we've seen George, Charlotte and Louis on, they have all been in England, in the UK, and that we haven't seen them in Scotland, Wales or Northern Ireland.
And we certainly haven't seen them wearing any kind of sports attire from those countries either.
I mean, it's a fair point to make.
It's something for them to keep in mind, I'd say.
Yeah, but I was really into that one picture of him where he's like rolling in the grass with his mouth open in the jersey was very charming, and also just kind of a different side of him to see him in the football jersey, because we're used to seeing him in those ridiculous little shorts.
Yeah, I mean, I thought it was a Photoshop when I saw it. I was so taken aback, but, you know.
Peak casual. What about your quote of the week, Tom?
Our quote this week comes via the new Prime Minister, Boris Johnson, who met the Queen this week. And apparently she said to him, "I don't know why anyone would want the job."
I think that's so good. We know about this because a journalist with Euronews called Vincent McAvini tweeted it, saying that the PM revealed it during a tour in number 10 before being told off by staff not to repeat those things so loudly. So some people are really annoyed about this because apparently it's a huge breach in royal protocol, but like typical of Boris to be bragging like this. In a way, I'm grateful because it's such a funny quote.
Now the big one. Who's our first in line?
Our first in line is third in line. It's Prince George, the birthday boy, the sporty young king.
The sporty young king on
the
his
budding
bouncy
magician.
royal castle. He's learning all the royal magic tricks.
And otherwise.
Getting ready for his big birthday and his lavish holiday.
I did like that picture, the one of him in the polo shirt, the expression on his face where he's kind of looking at Kate like, okay, like I'm ready to go swimming now. Enough, put the fucking camera away.
Yeah.
Mummy, sorry. Once the lens has shuttered, they whip off that pauper's polo shirt and stick on the branded one.
He has this full England kit made out of silk. Apart from a few final summer engagements for Charles and possibly Harry next week, it's looking like it's going to be a quiet one for the royals.
So we will be doing something a little bit different next week in honour of Meghan Markle's 38th birthday. So we hope you come back and join us and find out.
Thanks so much for listening to this episode. If you liked it, please rate and review us wherever you get your podcasts.
You can find us on Instagram at airheadspod, where we have also done a little highlight of our visit to Houghton Hall.
And you can find us on Twitter at airheadspod or on Facebook at airheads.
Have a great week and see you next Monday.
Bye.